Hidden Object Guru here, joined by...
The Unabridged Gamer.
Who, in case if it wasn't clear by all the other things we've talked about, knows more about Star Wars video games than literally any other person alive.
I don't recommend it, but yes.
I mean, in any other context, that would be an exaggeration. But didn't you recently put out a list of ranking every Star Wars game ever made?
Yes, for back when I was at boss level, I did. In fact, it was at over 114, including Java games, plug-and plays.
The dude tracked down Yoda stories for Windows.
And Game Boy.
And this is my point. And the number one was, I assume, TIE Fighter?
Actually, let me scroll down here and pull it up.
It's a very troubling sound you just made.
The best one, Republic Commando. The other best one, TIE Fighter. Right. The other best one, Knights of the Republic 2.
Okay, there you go. Honestly, I think at least two of those we could have predicted, but you were one of the real people out there pushing Republic Commando, and it's just always great to see. So, speaking of attempts to get at the top of a list of every Star Wars game ever, Star Wars Outlaws has just released its story trailer. Given that you know more about Star Wars than anyone I know, I was hoping you could explain to me what's going on here. Because I, as part of a boycott to never play a Star Wars game, not Spaceflight, obviously, I played Squadrons, I'm not a Philistine, where with Jedi in it, where you can't use a lightsaber to cut people in half. So I've been boycotting that franchise for some time now. You might say, well, you can cut bugs in half in Jedi Outcast. Yeah, but that's not people, is it? So please, we're going to start the trailer now, and I'm going to ask you to tell me what's going on.
Each of you.
So that's Canto Bight from The Last Jedi. That's the rich people planet where apparently our protagonist, Kay Vess, grew up as a street rat. So she's already starting off as Space Aladdin, which is weirdly becoming an archetype for the new EU because Rebels also stars Space Aladdin. But, at least she doesn't literally look like Aladdin, unlike Ezra Bridger.
Here's my question. Does that mean we're going to see a scene of her as a child sweeping up Space Horse stables, which was a big part of the backstory in Star Wars 8?
Yeah, it's entirely possible that this might happen. Also, to be clear, though, while this is from Episode 8, this is technically between The Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi.
Okay, I had no idea when this was set. Thank you for that. Okay.
Yeah, I know. They've not done a great job of communicating it.
Yeah. All right, so let's see what we have here.
Represent.
I do like captured in engine, not all images appear in game.
Yeah,
that is a weirdly weaselly way to say things, guys.
We might cut some content. There's no way you can prove it.
Also, captured in engine. Captured in engine running on what exactly?
That's a great question.
And some of the most powerful criminal organizations in the galaxy.
Can I just say, love that man's cape?
Yeah, he has a really dumb name, though.
Oh, no,
I'm
really?
blanking on this exact second. They mention it later in the trailer, but yeah, he has a really dumb name.
Oh, okay. Just a big fan of that cape?
Pikes, Crimson Dawn.
Actually, if you go back for just a second, the woman in the red hood.
Crimson Dawn.
Yeah, that's it. We do not know if Amelia Clark is playing Kira, but we know that her face is being used at the very least.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, you will actually meet Kira because the whole Crimson War or whatever comic book event they've been having where the Crimson Dawn fights the Empire in this weird discount Shadows of the Empire thing is technically ongoing simultaneous to this, so it's gonna be weird.
Okay, that's a big surprise.
Crimson Dawn. Huts.
Oh, who are those? Who's that guy with the weird dreadlocks on the back of his head? I remember those guys from Clone Wars.
That's actually a representative for the Hutts.
Yeah, but I'm saying, what species is he?
I want to say Weequay or Nikto. My brain always flips those two around in my head for some reason because they look very similar, but they have like distinctive bits and pieces to their design.
Okay. All right.
It's a golden age for the underworld. The Empire controls every corner of the galaxy, but they're distracted by a rebellion that won't quit. It's an opportunity to make millions.
So yeah, as you can tell, he's going on like, it's the greatest time to be a pirate because everything is going cuckoo bananas.
Here's my question for you, and you can tell me if I'm too harsh about this. Whenever I see someone in sci-fi saying it's a perfect time to make millions, I'm always like, okay, but what do millions mean in your context? Like, if you say that here, I understand you mean millions of dollars or millions of British pounds or millions of euros. But it's like, with space currency, I always feel like they should try to be a little more vague and say, make a fortune.
Yeah, it's particularly bad because, again, this is the new EU, because, like, understand, original Star Wars Expanded Universe, it was down to the point that they had their own name for paper, which, for those wondering, is flimsy plast, because it's actually made of plastic.
Oh my god.
But, also, flashlights are glow rods.
Oh my god, I love it so much.
But, like, there was all of this explanation for all of these things, but this is the new EU. We don't bother with any of that boring stuff because that's for nerds. Unlike Star Wars, apparently.
Like, we're basically at the point where it's become Spaceballs and they're just talking about having space bucks.
Yes, because, like, credit, what is a credit worth? Here's the extra hilarity is, this is an Ubisoft sandbox game, and infamously, for a while now, a lot of Ubisoft sandbox games have had such broken economies that, like, money is essentially worthless. There are active mods in the works being supported for, like, Watch Dogs and that one of their key features is we made things more expensive, so there's actually a point to having money. So
I do remember that in Watch Dogs and Watch Dogs 2, that money literally grows on trees in those games.
Yeah, so
like it's impossible to not be the richest person in San Francisco in that game.
So I'm hoping that that's not going to be the case here, but still, yeah, it's troubling.
Okay, all right.
Kay Vess.
So this is Kay Vess. This is our protagonist.
Okay, she's just a regular human.
Yep.
Meeting one of those pancake-faced dudes.
Sullistons.
Sullistons.
New scoundrel.
And beating the crap out of him.
Oh, who is this character?
I've dubbed him Discount Kyle Katarn.
Oh, I miss you, Kyle Katarn. You're delightful.
Like, he looks so much like Katarn, but basically he seems to be something of a mentor figure because he also connects her to, like, the Magna Guard droid that people are weirdly horny for, and a couple other associates. So, like, he seems to be the brains behind the operation, who, I'm not saying that Ubisoft games are predictable or anything, but he will probably either tragically die or stab you in the back at some point.
That is the two things mentors are allowed to do in their games.
What do you want?
Zarek Besh. They're new, rich, and lethal. You crossed their boss Slero, and now he wants you gone.
I'm not loving his voice actor.
Yeah, no, that's the voice acting seems to be very all over the place because, like, Kay Vess's is pretty good, and there's some other good ones, but yeah, it's not uniform.
Honestly, that guy's delivery sounded like a tutorial audio in a work productivity software. Like, that is the kind of performance that man was giving.
To be fair, this might still be placeholder, because, like, Injustice 2 is pretty close to release, and they still were using a placeholder voice for Brainiac, even though they had what's-his-name from Star Trek and Transformers Prime actually voice him in the final game. Jeffrey Combs.
Jeffrey Combs, wow. Now that's casting for Brainiac.
But at the very first trailer, when it was finally getting really close to release, and we finally hear Brainiac, it's this other guy who sounds British.
It's so weird to me that to think of, and I mean, it's about age differences, but anytime you hear of Jeffrey Combs, I know there's generations of people who are like, the guy from every Star Wars project ever. But to people like me, he'll always be Herbert West Reanimator.
This is fair.
It's an iconic part. All right. So is this the robot?
Yes, this
for
is
whom
the robot
people are
that
horny?
everyone wants to bone.
All right, let me see this robot.
Rob his fortune and buy your freedom.
This job, it's a death wish.
Oh, that's cute. You're going into Jabba the Hutt's palace.
Yep, he's not technically dead yet, so yeah.
Well, they just established this is in the how many years between Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi?
It's like a roughly 1 year. They've been really trying to... That's one of the weird details they have been trying to emphasize is like, with the Marvel comics they've been putting out, they're like weirdly obsessively trying to document every single inch of movement Luke, Han, and Leia made between each movie.
Yeah, because how much time is there between 1 and 2? It's weird that that's something I never questioned as a child, but now I see where you got to be very careful given how long it takes to get anywhere in the world of Star Wars. You have to be very careful that, you don't pack in too many adventures.
Yeah, but it's also gotten a bit obsessive to the point of, also, we're going to kill off almost all the new characters we introduced so that there's not any potential chance of anyone actually doing anything else with them.
Okay, that's just insulting.
Yeah.
I'm in.
Out here, you live and die by your reputation. You want to survive? Know the players.
You're new to this world. Come back when you're not.
Yeah, those guys you'll recognize from Book of Boba Fett, potentially.
Yep.
That's the Pikes. The big bad that you're trying to steal from, he's a new original gangster that they're throwing into this, but most of the gangs you're going to be dealing with are actually established overall. In fact, the only one I can think of that is weirdly absent, and I'm sure they're probably just going to hand wave it as they're part of the Crimson Dawn now, would actually be Black Sun.
I was going to ask about Black Sun and what they were up to.
Due to Dave Filoni being Dave Filoni, the odds are good they've just been rolled into the Crimson Dawn now because, I have this now. This is mine now.
Yes or no, are we going to see Darth Maul in this game? Is he still alive at this point?
No. They kill him off in Rebels in a fight that, depending on your stance on whether Darth Maul should have a really badass or really somber death, really works or really doesn't.
Okay. Damn. Now I'm really curious about this. Okay.
Jabba, right? Look, don't try anything. I got a whole crew surrounding the... Okay.
Oh, she's got a furry axolotl.
Yes, his name is Nyx. He will actually help you in gameplay. He can be used to distract enemies.
And go through vents and pull switches, I'm sure.
Yeah, it's like he's your little helper, and from what I've seen of gameplay footage of like demos and such, it does look like he's actually useful, especially in stealth. It's a nice little bit of adventure-y improvisation. Far as cameos, though, they have indicated that they were given a fair amount of freedom, and that they are working in like other cameo appearances that fit the story, but without saying it, they basically said, we're not going to do the Battlefront 2 thing of just jamming in a level where you play as Lando Calrissian that has nothing to do with the plot.
Okay. But Boba Fett will be in the game.
Maybe?
Hey, if Salacious Crumb is in the game, I'm pretty sure Boba Fett's going to show up at some point. You'd be crazy not to.
See, the thing is, though, he's kind of busy in this time period, again, thanks to the Marvel Comics, so it's not entirely clear how much freedom they would have with him because of the whole War of the Bounty Hunters event, which was what kicked off the whole Crimson War thing. It's a whole thing.
My thing is, he's delivered Han to Jabba. In 6 months' time after the events of this game, he's going to be just hanging out at Jabba's palace for whatever reason before getting thrown in the Sarlacc pit. I assume they'll find a way to put him into the game. It would be weird if they didn't. Also, I just noticed this. Kind of disrespectful to just, like, sit on Jabba's platform, don't you think?
Yeah, that's weird. It's a weird choice. It's a very weird flex. Also, who is that Jawa? How is he that important?
I don't know what's going on there.
I'm just gonna assume it's Wikinatika from DroidWorks.
Okay. So is this the ship? Is this your ship? No, that is your ship. Okay.
Well, actually, right now, when it was frozen there, that was the ankle of a stormtrooper. But yes, it's your ship.
Oh, okay.
Spin me a Nyx.
Oh, okay. That monster looks very cute.
Doing what we have to.
Okay, you've got Imperial Shells. Yeah, there's the distraction element.
This
Yeah, there's going to be a
job
heavy emphasis on stealth for a very specific reason. See, Ubisoft always likes to tease at sim elements, adding some more depth to their material, but they never quite fully commit. This might be the first instance where it seems like they actually are. There's going to be a reputation system like Fallout New Vegas, so if you are on good enough terms with a particular syndicate, you might be able to just walk into one of their bases, whereas if they hate you, they will send bounty hunters after you that will dynamically appear.
Oh, wow.
And quests, they gave several examples where you'll be stealing something for one crime syndicate, but another one might offer you a different reward if you go to them.
Okay.
And you have to weigh the circumstances. It's actually a very clever system if it works out.
Yes. I mean, hey, I loved Mercenaries 2 as much as the next guy, but historically, people have had trouble actually making that kind of system work in their games. So,
Yeah.
I mean, I did love Mercenaries 2, and I loved the idea of false flag attacks and disguising your identity by using as one of a guy's own ships to attack their helicopters to attack their base, and no one will credit you for the attack. There's interesting stuff you could do there. So if you could work for the various syndicates, I could see this being very interesting.
my one shot at freedom. But if we're gonna pull this off, we need.
Okay, I don't know why that looked so awkward, but I can't believe how awkward that jump and roll looked.
Yeah, it did, and that's one of the things is traversal, it's not quite clear what all you're working with. The on-foot bits are pretty standard third person from what we've seen, and the vehicular stuff actually looks quite decent. The space flight has looked good, and the speeder bike sections actually look quite
I
neat.
do love speeder bikes, don't get me wrong. I'd be very excited to just have a bunch of speeder bikes in the game. So I just want to show this.
If we're gonna pull this off,
Yeah,
it just looks like she's not touching anything.
She basically released air from her feet.
I know, it doesn't look like a real jump, it doesn't look like a real landing. It looks like she is doing this on a green screen, and they have put her into that background, and they set the height 2 inches off, All right, so are we going to finally hear this robot speak?
I don't think he actually speaks in the trailer. I could be wrong, but I don't think he speaks in the trailer.
All right, let me see.
we need the right crew
What?
and the right ship. Yes. Hang on.
It's an extremely boxy ship, which I think is an interesting design choice.
Yeah, well, it's meant to be for smuggling, so...
Yeah, it just looks like a generic kind of ship. There's no stylishness to it. There's nothing like that. No, just kind of there. And I assume you will personalize the inside of the ship because this is an Ubisoft game.
It's not clear, because the pre-order bonus is only just, skin for the speeder bike and for the ship's exterior, and... The extra weird thing is, it doesn't actually look that remarkable, the pre-order bonus. It basically is would you like it to be more gray?
Oh, no.
Yeah, I don't know what the thought was there.
You're one of the best hunters in the Outer Rim.
She's more connected than you let on, Sliro. Bess is mixed up in something
Yeah, and
bigger.
after the Bounty Hunter, given the track record of every other new EU Star Wars game, given that, she seems to have the most personality, of course she's one of the antagonists, and I desperately hope that she doesn't get offed for some reason, like all the other ones that get offed while being way more interesting than the protagonist.
That is a strange problem they have. You're right.
I think it's probably because it's a lot easier to get away with humanizing the antagonist or whatever, whereas we always have to keep our protagonist as bland as possible so that everyone loves them.
Yeah, you can be flashy and give them lots of character, because, hey, they're just going to get killed off at the end of the game anyway. Oh, guys, you don't know how to write a story.
The The Outer Rim is a dangerous place.
That was pretty much a montage of various planets. There will be several like hubs and such that you will explore. They haven't given us an exact number yet, but I'm expecting under a dozen for the amount of depth that they're going to want to go for. So it's ironic that we keep hearing rumors about them potentially remaking Assassin's Creed Black Flag because, you know, they're basically remaking it as a Star Wars game here. And for people who really love the Jedi Knight games, you'll notice that droid is carrying the heavy Imperial repeater.
Nice. That's a good touch. But yeah, it is, isn't it?
Yep.
Oh, wow.
Everyone is fighting for their people.
So we've got a water planet we've seen. Now we're going to see a snow planet. We're going to see a desert planet. There'll be an industrial planet.
This is the Kijimi from The Rise of Skywalker. So it's the planet that gets blown up. So, you know, again, it's just, you know, it's already going to be dead, so we can do whatever we want with it.
That is nice. They have opened that up quite nicely.
East of the galaxy.
Okay.
But all
So they're promising space combat. That's nice. I mean, ship-to-ship combat in Black Flag was among the best parts of the game. I really feel like she should have her finger on the trigger right now.
Yeah.
Weird choice to not put the finger on the trigger.
Is to live free.
I love also that it fires without her pulling the trigger. I'm guessing that's an animation snafu.
Oh, yeah. Oh, grappling hook action. Everybody loves that.
So I'm gonna risk it all.
Aww.
So yeah, you saw there was also going to be Death Troopers. They're going to be a thing. Which
I'm a big fan of Death Troopers, don't get me wrong.
It's interesting in particular because if there's another thing that like Disney has been very happy to do is kind of to abandon something whenever they have a new thing. So once they started introducing like, you know, the second the Mandalorian's like, actually, yeah, Dark Troopers can exist outside of that one mobile game. Suddenly, like, Bad Batch is throwing in a discount version of the Dark Trooper. Rebels has its own discount version of the Dark Trooper. I was expecting, are we just going to see some Dark Troopers here? But no, we actually remembered that we have a perfectly functional infantry class that would actually make more sense for this era. So it's an odd case of actually worrying about continuity in a way that benefits the story insteed of just being weird. Are we going to see some
flamethrower genocide monsters in this? Probably.
Yeah, they do seem to have this weird fixation with insisting that flamethrowers are like one of the ultimate weapons of the Star Wars universe.
I know.
I don't understand who came up with it. It's like some poor person at DICE had to balance an entire subclass of infantry for just the First Order faction. That's just a flamethrower to make it actually be viable in the game.
Oh my God.
Credit, they did. It's actually a really fun class.
Okay.
But I do not envy them at all because that could not have been easy.
All right. So now we've got, we're still, I guess, on the ice planet. We've got killer spiders who probably explode when they're shot, given the fact that their abdomen is glowing.
I didn't realize you played any Lost Planet game in the last 10 years.
Oh, hey, we've got one of those crate dragons? Am I thinking the right thing?
Further along, no, that doesn't. I mean, they could say it is because they like to just say, "Well, yes, this is that thing now," even if that isn't how the thing looked
historically,
before.
Right?
So
I'm very worried about Nyx not holding on tight enough while this is all going on. Maybe strap that monster down.
Yeah.
Star Wars Outlaws pre-order available now.
See the Kessel Runner bonus pack.
Like, oh yeah, it's just gray.
Yeah, it's the weirdest darn thing. I do find it hilarious that they have the droid, like, you know, just carrying the crate like he's got a boombox and he's about to drop the hottest mixtape.
Honestly, this franchise could use some mixtape robots. I'm not gonna lie.
But
okay, so now here's the big question. You have informed me about what we're going to be looking at here, and I'm glad you have kept up on it. But it raises the question. How excited are you for Ubisoft to be making a Star Wars game?
I am extremely conflicted for a long variety of reasons that I will keep as short as possible. One, obviously, is there's just the obvious, there's still harassment problems that are apparently very notable at multiple Ubisoft studios, and regardless of if Massive has been trying to work on it or not, it's not the only studio that's contributed to this. So that's just, that's not great. There is the inherent issue of they're already trying to nickel and dime with DLC with like an Ultimate Edition and everything that's just vaguely promising 2 expansions, which could be anything. There's also the other inherent thing where buying early for an Ubisoft game is just almost never a great idea. I hate to say it because I know the good people who've worked at Ubisoft, but just like the company always discounts their games way faster than everyone else. Like Far Cry 6 dropped dramatically, astronomically within just a year of release. So regardless of how hyped you're feeling, and as much as I think that, using Ubisoft's PC platform is absolutely terrible, it might just be the wiser thing to get Ubisoft Plus when this drops, because then you're only paying $18 and you just get access to the full game and can try it out if you absolutely have to play it day one, because also, there's going to be glitches. It's an Ubisoft game. There's going to be a bunch of glitches and issues. There has not been an Ubisoft launch without them. The physical release apparently will still require an internet download as well. So if that's what you're thinking, just be warned that you will need an internet connection to finish downloading the entire game. Apparently they do use the disc. It's just literally too big for just the disc.
Oh my God.
And they just didn't do the Red Dead Redemption 2 thing up. Okay, fine. Then just print a second disc. Which, there's just
seems like they don't want to put out that extra 15 cents it would cost to print a second disc.
Yeah, but the thing is, despite all of that, it does actually look interesting. And that is actually what makes me the most nervous, because I would love for there to be a good new Star Wars game, like with an actual campaign mode that I enjoy, because as much as I enjoyed playing Squadrons multiplayer, its campaign mode isn't great.
No,
and to 100% it, you literally have to commit war crimes. So, that's not great. The Jedi games, as everyone who's ever read anything I've written about has seen, I have a number of issues with Respawn's Rise of the Tomb Raider with lightsaber series.
Yeah.
There's a number of things that are very problematic with the writing there and with the pacing and balancing. And Battlefront was finally getting its act together, and now apparently they're just not letting DICE make another one of those, so that's basically gone now. So, yeah, it's... Plus,
so what you're saying is, it's a good time to be trying something new in Star Wars.
Yes, that's why I'm actually open to someone other than EA being in charge of a thing, and someone other than Respawn handling a single-player campaign.
I've long said that making that deal with EA was the dumbest thing Disney could have possibly done. And Lucas, just saying, we're just not going to bother with Star Wars games. We'll let EA handle it. And I know we've talked about this before, but it used to be every 9 months or so you'd get a new Star Wars game. And then EA was like, yeah, we're just not going to make Star Wars games. We're just going to sit on the rights.
One quick clarification, that wasn't entirely EA, that was also several LucasArts executives during 7th Gen, because let's not forget that Battlefront 3 basically almost happened 2 to 3 times. And every single time, they just were like, I don't think this is going to make enough money to make back the budget. Really, Chad? Really?
But you've already spent so much of the budget, guys.
It's just it's
if you don't release it, you make no money.
Yeah,
but that's for another time.
Yeah.
Seriously though, thank you for walking us through this, and I expect to hear a lot more from the two of us about this, because I'll pay for a month of Ubisoft Plus if they don't want to send us review copies. I guess I'll be willing to play for a month of Ubisoft Plus just to play this thing. I just bought a month of PlayStation Plus Extra to record a House of Ashes video. I don't think it's too extreme. August 30th. Okay, so we've got 4 months to get ready for this bad boy.
And then probably another 4 months for all the bugs to be patched out.
Ouch, but definitely true. All right. So we'll see you back here soon for more Star Wars talk, but until then, I'll say that's right. Au revoir.
Good day.